And we are live. Hey,
Hi.
everybody. I am so excited for today's episode. This is a long overdue meeting. Please help me welcome my beautiful friend. Please, if I had like claps and like audiences around me, I would say, please clap, please clap. Yeah. So, Style Vamp, is that how you say your official Instagram?
Yes, Style Vamp.
Style
Hi,
Vamp.
everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Lizzie.
Oh, this is I can't believe this is actually happening right now. This is almost like a dream. I feel like I need to pinch myself. Uh, and oh, did we go live? Yes, he says. Okay, so Freddie, as if whoever's listening, has been making sure that we are all equipped auto and visually and all sound. So yes, we're good. But hi everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. This is my friend from Instagram. Geez, I was going back on our DMs, just like
Oh my
I don't even know
gosh.
if this is like our first official DM, but it was all the way back in 2016. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, girl.
Oh my gosh.
And you have been nothing but a support for me, like and it's so crazy because I haven't even met you, and sometimes I feel like why do I like deserve this girl's like kindness, and it feels so very genuine, and it almost like took me aback, like how supportive you were, and I just love that about you. That attracted me, number one, like about you, that genuine
Thank you.
quality about you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I say, like, I came across your IG and I was floored by what I saw. Like, the creativity of your artistry is beautiful. And I was like, oh no, I need to follow this. And then my older sister, her name is Liz, and I call her Lisi. And
Oh,
I literally, she was like new to Instagram, and I was like, you need to follow this page. You need to follow Lizzie. Look at what she does. And I was like, and actually, I think I mentioned it to a couple of my other friends because I feel like when you see someone who's talented, I feel like you should support it. And I mean, I loved it. And then you're a fellow Latina,
woo, woo,
please,
Latina women in the
please.
house. Okay, there you are. I would tell the people where you're from, your roots.
I'm I'm Puerto Rican.
Ooh.
My parents are from Puerto Rico, and I am born and raised in New York in the Bronx. And I currently still live in New York City. No longer in the Bronx, but I still live in New York.
When we started connecting and talking before we went live, I caught a little of your accent, and I love it. I love that little, that New York accent in there.
I don't hear it. That's so bad. I don't hear it. But now if I hear like a Staten Island accent or a Long Island accent, a Boston accent, I'm like I hear it, but I definitely hear when like there's a makeup artist that I've worked with, Julie, she's from Boston, and she has the awesomest Boston accent. But she doesn't hear it because that's how she
That's how
talks.
she
But
thought.
when
She's always
I
talked all the time.
exactly, exactly. So when I speak, I don't hear it. But yeah, but thank you. Thank you.
You know what's another crazy thing is your first name, Tanya, sounds very similar to my legal name, Danya. Uh,
I
that's
was
crazy.
I was watching your IG live with a friend of yours. I don't recall her name. She was putting on makeup. You were putting on
Hmm.
makeup. And I heard you go, Tanya, talking to yourself. And I'm like, what? Did I just I'm like, or maybe she read someone who was on the live like asking her something. And I'm like, I'm not bugging out. So then when I DM'd you, I was like, what? Oh, when you had the Q&A for your podcast and they asked you what was your real name. And I was like, I was not crazy. That's
Yep, it's
that's pretty
Danya.
interesting.
It's spelled
There's no
a little differently. It's pronounced like how you spell it. Like you
mhm.
spell it Tayna. I spell it Dania. So Danya.
That's so funny. Like it's actually what's interesting. I pronounce my name Tanya, but it's spelled with a Y. But
Hmm.
my mom loved the pronunciation. She liked how it was written. She didn't
Like
like how, so she liked it with the Y, you know.
yes,
So,
like the
so
flow
she
of
left,
yes.
yeah, so she left it like that. But the true pronunciation of Tanya with the Y in Spanish, I hate it. I only like my close family members call me that. And
So
my
how is
boy,
it, Tanya? That you don't like it like that?
well, it's because it's Y in
Uh-huh.
Spanish. Y is pronounced different, so it's supposed to be Tanja.
Ah.
But I don't like that. I feel like
Tanja.
it sounds
Yeah.
Tanja. It sounds hard. I like, and plus I'm used to hearing my name in Spanish called Tanya. So like it makes sense, you know, the IA. But yeah, that's the whole spiel of my YA. But
And I just
what's even
discovered your name, Tanya. Like you just discovered my name, Tanya, just recently too, because I always
wait,
known you by your Instagram name.
your handle. I know that's so crazy, but that's the power of social media. Social media, even though we know we're on a social platform, after a while, even your own personal friends, you start calling them by their handle. And
Mm-hmm.
but that's the power. And that also shows you how, like, how strong social media is, that you could literally forget the person's damn real name.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I remember when I first came across your IG page, I saw that your last name was Correa. And that's my dad's second last name. You know how they do in the Caribbean, you know, you get your mom's name,
Yeah. You have
you
like two
know, so,
last names or three or four,
three or four or five, like in the novelas,
Mm-hmm.
like Santa Maria de la Cruz de la Cruz de la, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I saw your last name was Correa, and like Correa, to be honest with you, is not a common name. And usually everyone's pretty much related. Like all the Correas in Puerto Rico, like they live in the same area where
That's
my family's
interesting. My
from.
husband's gonna be so excited because I don't think he knows that Correa's popular there. Like I didn't know.
No, no, it's a big deal because the thing is, the origins of the name comes from he's like a paternal grandfather to us, like a couple of times removed, but he was originally from Portugal, and then he branched off to Brazil, and in Brazil this man made a lot of money, and he turned himself into un conde, you know,
Que
so
esconde? What's that?
it's kind of like un conde. It's CONDE. It's not royalty, but it's like a
Privileged?
it's something. It's like some
Ah.
special title, you
Ah.
know. So he did not like any of his immediate family, and this man was loaded. So what he did was, this is literally on you can find it. What he did was he disinherited all his immediate family members, and he said only the fourth generation will inherit his money. So the thing is, what happens through time and generation, people don't stay from where they're from. So the line of Correa, you know, went to Spain, Peru, Puerto Rico, I think Chile, you know. So those are the direct lineage to this man, you know. Did anyone ever inherit anything? I don't know. That's a whole controversy there, but the story is interesting.
Yeah, I
You
mean
know,
the fact that he could had that power, or the fact that he just wanted to, hey, just from here on, that's my family. The rest,
yeah,
you
I
guys
don't.
never existed.
That's so shady. That is
that,
so
that
shady.
takes balls.
That's shady. And in my mind, I'm like, was he a bad man? I'm
Yeah,
like,
like what did
because
your family do to you, bro?
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
even in death, I'm like, damn. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that's how I know of the name Correa, obviously, because my dad, because my grandmother, that was her last name, and they always had this, you know how like within your own family you have like stories that you always hear about. So that was like the whole story that I always kept hearing about. So when I saw your last name, I was like, are we related?
Hey now, hey now.
hey now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. That you just schooled me on my last name. That there's so much history more to it that I don't even know. I just know that it means belt in some places.
Correa, yeah,
Correa.
see,
Yeah,
see.
Correa. But other than that, I mean, it's more comes from my husband's, obviously his
Yeah.
side of his dad is Cuban. So that's where
Oh,
Correa
wow.
comes from. Yeah, from our side there. But yeah, it's so interesting, man. I wanna look that story up. That's insane.
Yeah, I
Um,
have to remember the full name, his phone. And once we I have to ask one of my cousins or my sister. She might remember the full name because I remember my dad had a printout, and it basically it's in the Wikipedia, like on the Google search
oh,
where
when
you
it's
look him up.
Wikipedia, you know it's legit.
Yes and no. You have to give Wikipedia the side eye sometimes.
Yeah. True facts. True facts. Yeah, that's so funny. Okay, darling. So I am so intrigued about your profession, and as now you're giving me so many things to look up. This is I also had to look this up about what you do, because when I
Okay.
looked up your description, it said wardrobe still life stylist,
Uh-huh.
right? So I know what wardrobe is. I know what
Yeah.
stylist is, but the still life caught me for a second. I'm like, still life? Like, okay, what is that? So I literally took that word and I looked it up, and I'm like, oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
And then your pictures then made a little more sense on your Instagram. Like, okay, they're they're
No, 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 no,
all
no,
you
no. It's
gotta all you
okay.
gotta look it up. But for those who may not be like me, like very naive and not know what still life is, and I know you could be better the better person to describe what that is. Can you take a moment to let us know
Mhm.
and educate us?
Okay. Still life is basically if you look at a magazine ad or any of the advertising that you see on online social platforms, or even the circulars that you get in the mail, because still life, that profession is done all across the board. But it's basically, you'll see like a pretty image of shoes, jewelry, handbags, even food styling, which, those pictures that you see of food in the Macy's circular that you get in the mail or you see on your emails, that's all done. So that's all styled. Food styling now, that's a totally different profession, and that's super hard because you have to be an alchemist basically, aside from knowing what to do when you're cooking and preparing everything.
Yeah,
But
there's different
you know,
avenues of
yeah,
skill, yeah, of what you can do.
yes,
Yeah, yep.
yes. There's food styling, there's beauty styling. So when you see those amazing images of like powders or nail polish, dripping from the brush, on the advertising for any of your favorite brands, whether it's NARS, Pat McGrath, Natasha Denona, when they have those still lifes of the beautiful powders, that you see that's placed on a table and it's lit and it looks beautiful, that's a stylist who did that.
You have to have an
Say
eye to that too, how to like
yes.
know how to position the product and what to position the product with so that
And
it doesn't take away from the main focus.
yes, yes. And the same thing with, clothes. Clothes not they don't just get styled on a model, they also get styled through still life. So even when you're shopping online or if you go on Aritzia, you'll see some images that are on a model, but then there are other images where you see it on a flat board, and you see basically if it's a bodysuit or a leotard, they're basically pinned up on a foam core board. You don't see the pins or they're removed. But you try to keep the integrity and the shape of the piece. So that's a different type of styling. And then there's like lifestyle styling where you if it's some clothing, you put it down and you have some props and some other stuff that makes sense for it to be there, and you create a story. So that's what still life is.
That's awesome. And how long have you been doing that now?
Still life, I would say consistently for the past like 9 years. Because
Wow.
I also do on figure as well. So, and there are some stylists who just do wardrobe. And then that has different tiers. That's like video, TV, celebrity, just ecom, which is ecom is what you're used to seeing when you're on Macy's, Bloomingdale's, Saks, H&M. So that's ecom. and then you have advertising, and then you have the creative, beautiful editorial layouts that you see in magazines. So that's also,
Another another
yeah.
world. Yeah.
And then some stylists just dedicate themselves to that, and some stylists just dedicate themselves to still life. And then there are some like myself who do both.
You mix. You do a little bit. You dabble
do,
in because
yeah,
you come with many talents, girl.
But to be honest with you, you can't stay stuck, because with what's happening now, I mean, to be honest, with what's happening now in our world, we have no idea. When I say we, I mean my colleagues. We have no idea we know that it's affected the industry as it's affected everyone, but we don't know how our world is going to be.
Yeah, true. After,
that's
we get a little taste, but this is not how it's going to fully be, but it's going to be different for sure.
It's going to be way different. And to be honest with you, doing shoots with a model, that might not be the top thing to do. They might just have the model putting on their own makeup, as I've heard, and their own wardrobe, which to me, it's like there are things as to why you need a stylist there.
Yeah, for one, you don't want to do it. The model doesn't want to do it, or the model doesn't have the skills to do it.
Some models, veteran models or seasoned models, or models who pay attention, and those are the models that you literally should embrace and celebrate and appreciate, because those are the models that make my job easier. When a model knows how to hit her mark or his mark with the lighting, the photographer appreciates that.
Let's work for him.
But it's we're all a team. You're only as good as the team that you're with. So if I have a model that knows that I'm fixing a crease or tucking her in somewhere, and as she's moving, she kind of like she tucks or she does this, it avoids me having to step on set and fix it. So that's all important, and it makes everything go faster, because everybody wants to go in and out and leave.
Yep. Time is money. Yeah. Time is money.
Exactly. So now with what's happening, obviously, I think there's definitely going to be work for still life stylists, because now it's just a photographer, the stylist assistant, and a stylist. And sometimes, there's not a budget to have a stylist assistant for still life, depending. It helps because it helps move everything along faster. But, I feel like definitely anyone who has dedicated themselves in the still life area, they're going to be okay. In respects to wardrobe, it's different. Like, I just saw a virtual fashion show yesterday.
Really?
That was posted on IGTV, and what? I have to read about it. I'm gonna send it to you. I have to read about it a little bit more. It's a designer, and I don't know how she did it. I think she has an interview that explains everything. But when I mean, it was pretty sick.
You know what?
It was pretty sick.
I've noticed in everything that you said, and like whatever industry that you find yourself in, and I'm proud to see that you're doing that within yours. You have to always be going with the flow and innovative, and trying to just you're going to be left behind if you don't. You gotta be trying new things. And sometimes the things that you've done and they've worked, sometimes are not always going to keep on working.
It's true. I mean, when the recession happened like 10 years ago, people who were able to adapt or multitask or do other jobs were the ones who were able to thrive during that economy. So it's imperative that we do push ourselves, even if we don't, even if we have fear. You have to adapt, and there's nothing wrong with change.
Adapt is a good word that I can. Another one for you, just so I could call you that. You're very adaptive, and very flexible. Man, just before we got on, guys, Tanya did not know, for one, we were going to be doing video, and number two, live. Kind of sprung that up on her today, but she was down. She was like, "Yeah, okay, let's do this." So I love how you're that way. Just let's go with the flow. Let's be adaptive. Let's, because and get out of our comfort zone. Because that's the only way you're really going to learn things. Because if you're in your comfort zone, you kind of already know what you're doing. But getting out of it, it's not comfortable, right? And I think that's why people fear that. It's just the feeling that they get when they step out. But we got to
And
understand that that's normal.
it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to feel scared. It's okay. Acknowledge it. But don't allow yourself to stay stuck. And, we have moments that we give into it, but those moments need to be a smaller percentage than the moments where we fight through and decide to go, you know what, F this, maybe, it's going to take me a couple of times to get to learn this or navigate this, but you're going to learn it and then it's going to feel fun. That fear turns to fun. And that's important.
Yes.
So
yeah, personal development and always challenging yourself and learning is something that we should never stop do. Like once we feel like we achieve a certain level, I think it's okay to enjoy that moment and be proud of yourself and give yourself the tap on the back, but don't stay there. Don't stay. You got to keep on learning, keep on challenging yourself, keep on pushing.
Well, this is the thing. We read books, self-help books. We watch certain YouTubers who are life coaches, or we listen to podcasts, and we have all these messages that we're taking in, but we can't say, yeah, we're on the path. But then when an opportunity arises, you're going to go, no, I can't do it. Then what's the point? No one wants to stay stagnant.
Nope.
No one. So, I'll admit, I was like, oh my God, I'm going on live. I'm a little terrified, but you know what? F it. So yeah. So, I mean, you have to rise to the occasion and do it. And it is what it is. So yeah.
I've always, with that, like with you being on live right here and being that's not our comfort zone, we're going to take away something from this. Like we're going to use it at some point. Like, I don't know, maybe get more comfortable for whatever reason being in front of a camera. And I just feel like whatever you do, even in the moment, you may not understand why you're doing it. But I feel like sometimes don't come with expectations and just do it for the sake of just challenging yourself. And then you will understand sometimes maybe right there or maybe later. But the fact that you're just pushing yourself, that's a win in itself.
Well, I agree. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to get out of my comfort zone, because I would have never done it.
It's so funny because I feel like that's what I'm doing lately. I'm just pulling all of my friends to come forced to be on my podcast. And they're like, I've never been on one. I'm like, well, I've never actually hosted a podcast either. So.
But it's fun because you have familiarity. You're familiar, you're friends, and it just turns into something fun. And then, I'm sure your friend is like, wow, this was fun. I'll do it again.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully that's what I hope they end up saying at the end, or maybe they will never do one again. And that's sad. But no, all of them have said, I can't wait to come on. Yeah. And I think that's amazing. And with you, I just always knew from like the get-go that if we were to have ever met like face to face, or even now, that it was just going to be the conversation was going to be just so easy. And I just got this vibe about you, just how you talked, like how we always kept in touch over the years. So this is just exciting in 2020 that finally the podcast, made it happen. And maybe that's why things happen. Maybe this is a way for, me to finally take some certain relationships or, and to the next like level. And it also teach me that relationships and connections and networking does not require for you to be, again, local. Like you can network and connect with people and build amazing relationships and even build your business online. And it's just how you do it.
Yeah, I agree. And we also, there's a huge benefit to social media, because there are so many opportunities that you can take because of that. And on top of that, it's also like, I feel like it's empowering. And also the fact that you're going to see, and you will see how you touch people. because there's an immediate interaction, one, doing a live like this, or the podcast, the feedback that you're going to get from your podcast. And I saw that you posted that there were certain countries that were like logging into your podcast, and
which is insane, by the way. Like, I don't
I
even know
know.
how, or I mean, I guess in the world of the platforms that you can distribute your podcast, and maybe they're just already into podcasts and they randomly somehow, find it and gave it a listen. Even that, but that's crazy. That you can get people from those areas to even check you
I
out.
know, but isn't that amazing to know that your words have reached that far? And I'm pretty sure you weren't thinking that. I mean, I think that should even give you a bigger push to continue this. And I love your name, Antisocial Butterfly. I
Well,
love
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I love
I
it.
spent so many months going back and forth. I have a notebook that is literally pages long of names that I was going back and forth, or different ideas. And finally, we were chilling on the couch, my husband and I was in my notebook. I was like trying to come up with the name. And then we were talking about me being like an introvert, and how like my childhood makes so much sense, because I'm like, dang, yeah. And then antisocial, the word came up. And then I don't know, I'm like antisocial, but you usually hear social butterfly. So I'm like, oh my God, I wrote it down, antisocial butterfly. It has a little ring to it. I immediately went to Google to make sure that nobody else had it, because it would suck when I would come up with a good name and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, someone has it already.
For a podcast.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
didn't want to choose a name that someone already had. I mean, there's similar ideas when you look up the name antisocial that people have. But when immediately I saw that antisocial butterfly, it was not there, I'm like, done. That's it. Seal the deal. Make the logo.
It's perfect. It says it. It says it. It's perfect. It says it all. So like, if I do just opt and decide to like venture into podcasting, I need to figure out a name, like maybe a variation of my handle, Style Vamp or something, but it needs to make sense. Like even your husband's podcast, what's this is
Thanks for the invite.
invite.
Yeah.
Hello. Like that in itself is already funny because it sounds sarcastic and cynical. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. I love it. I love it. So it just it has to, you have to do the work and figure out, and hopefully you get the inspiration to figure out what's the name that fits you best. But Antisocial Butterfly, yes, I love it.
Hey, you know what? The idea that you have in your to have a podcast, and if it doesn't go away, it's for a reason. If it keeps coming back as a thought, as an idea, I encourage you to embark on it. I'm here for you, for
Thank you.
For letting you know how to
you.
set it up and what to do it. But yeah, I feel like you would be so great at it. I can already tell, like how you just speak. You would be a natural at it. And also even if you're not going to do it right now or in a month, start or even kind of planning a name for it. Because that takes time already. You know what I mean? It took me like 3 months or 2 for me to finally like, okay, Antisocial Butterfly is it. And then maybe when you feel like, okay, I think it's time that I have the space, the energy and time to commit to this, bam, if you already have the name, you have already the name, or even think of episode names, already kind of like start planting into the universe that may happen. Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking that you have to think of episode names, but that's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. And also like, it's good to have friends that hold you accountable.
Yes.
Okay.
That's true facts.
Like, did you do this? Did you do this?
Yes.
Like if you don't have someone in your life, if your partner, if your husband, boyfriend, partner does not literally hold you accountable for the things that you aspire to do, then that is not your person.
Amen. Can you say it again? I'm just kidding.
Amen.
I feel like we need to hear that again. Yeah, I feel like, and to even stretch that a little further, I mean, just your inner circle, your friends, the people that you spend the most time with. And unfortunately, the people you work with, I mean, that sometimes is in your control, but sometimes it's not. But thinking of all those things, if they don't support you, if they don't if they just bring you down. When you're around people that uplift you, that encourage you, that inspire you, that once you leave speaking with them or being around them, you just can't wait to get started on doing something,
Yes.
taking action. Those are the kind of people that you need to invest and spend time with.
Yes, that's why to me that's why I feel like I have colleagues that I've known them for years, and like they do amazing sick ass work. Like their styling is so sick. And you know what? To me it's just like I'm not going to be jealous or feel any type of way, cuz my thing is we all have our days, like, and let me word this in a way that makes sense. We all have the same amount of time in a day. Okay? We
Yeah.
live differently and we have different responsibilities, but we all have the same amount of time in a day. It's all up to you to maximize it. Okay? So the fact that I have a friend of mine, like she's a mother. She literally, she has her own personal life. She has a husband, and she is really doing it, and I've seen her growth, and I'm so proud of her, so to me, instead of looking at someone else and going, damn, I want to get that account, or I would like to get something similar, you can. That in and of itself, the fact that she or he was able to do that, that tells you that you can do it.
Yes.
Because I feel like there's room for everyone. Granted, let's put this in a sense that the reality of what we're living now, we don't know how that's going to unfold. But just because of that, we can't just go, oh, okay, I'm not going to do anything, or the things that I want to attain to are impossible. They are possible, but you have to do the work in here, for all that stuff to come to you, because I'm a firm believer.
Oh my gosh,
good people.
Girl. I need this. Can we just start a podcast already? I'm just kidding. No, yes, that speaks volume. Yeah, that's speaking to me right now.
I've always said this: good people gravitate to good people, so it makes sense why we connected. So no, like anything that happens, there's a reason for why it happens. You can't say, hey, I want to do this, but then you don't have the right people in your circle. You have to take accountability and responsibility for that if you don't have the right people who are pushing you, then you're attracting that, because that's within your power.
And you're allowing that. Like you have,
yes,
you don't have the control, yes, of some people that may come to your life, but you do have control of
how long they stay.
And a house. You don't have control who may show up at your door, but you do have control of who you let in. Bam.
Yes.
That's my analogy of the day.
I like it.
No, yeah, that's so true.
It's true. So, okay. So, how has everything going over there in Vegas with?
It's crazy because I haven't really been outside because I work from home. So I'm in my house pretty much all day. I do everything here. I work out here. I do my business here. I do my obviously photos here. I only go out because I buy food. I go for a walk. Unfortunately, my husband, he works out in the public. He's considered an essential. So I haven't really seen the full like public world in quite a bit. I mean, I drive and I see like people it's picking up. We did go through the Strip the other day, which was, I don't even know the right word. I was feeling a lot of mixed emotions. Excitement for one, because I had not been to the Strip in a hot minute. I was already prepping to feel some type of like sadness or something. I don't know. I just was not seeing people and just the excitement and liveliness of the Strip. I don't know. I didn't know how I was going to feel, but I recorded it. It was kind of eerie a little bit. It's just to see miles on end and not anybody walking. And you would see a few people, on bikes. I think that's what I've heard people now they're doing. They're getting the bikes now and they're rolling down the Strip. The locals on the Strip. I feel like it's going to bring locals. It's going to look different, of course, but I feel that the locals are going to take advantage of the Strip for sure. once we're allowed to go
it's
back.
it's about time, because I'm pretty sure it gets inundated by all the tourists that constantly come there. So it's hard to feel like that area is your own. Same thing, Times Square. Like, I'm a native New Yorker. You have to pay me to walk through Times Square.
Yeah.
Okay. So in my mind, I kind of use it in the same way. Like, it's probably not as enjoyable to walk down the strip, of all these
Yep. Same
tourists
thing. Yep.
about. So it's kind of
How
like
far do you live from
hella
Union
far.
Square? Hella far?
Hella far. I'm, New York City has 5 boroughs, so I'm in Queens. So Times Square is in Manhattan. I mean, it's not like, literally, it is probably like a 45-minute train ride. But not many people are probably going to want to be taking the trains with what's happening. But it's a 45-minute train ride, and I would say maybe probably like a 20-minute drive, probably
Okay.
even faster. So
Wow. Okay. So you got to it. Yeah. With all those, if you would have told me if it would take me 45 minutes on train to get to the strip, yeah, I would probably not go as much.
No, but that's the norm here. That's the norm.
Well, true.
Anything that takes more than 45 minutes, you're like, no, I'm sorry. No. But that's like the norm. Like, people, because then not a lot of people can afford to live in Manhattan. So a lot of people live in the outer boroughs. But it's normal to have to go to work or any social activity, maybe 20 to 30 minutes or 40 minutes. That's the norm. And trust me, a train ride goes like this, or Uber drive is like even quicker. So,
True.
So it doesn't sound like it sounds daunting, but it's not as bad as it sounds.
Yeah. And the trains and are the subways, are they open already?
They have been open the whole time.
Oh, they have. Oh, they have. See, here in my thought, they shut down the
No,
subways.
they can't. There's no way. The only times that I know that MTA has been shut down is when there's been a union strike. And that brings the city down. Like, we're a big city, but we're a small city. So when anything happens here, it's compounded like 20 times, because we just don't have the infrastructure and the manpower to deal with stuff. Like, if there's a hurricane, there's flooding, that affects the transit systems, so just keep that in mind. So with all this that's happening, our little tiny little city does get affected. But that's a lot of essential workers live in the outer boroughs, and even if they live in Manhattan, they still have to take the train or a bus. So to cut that off would be awful.
Yeah. And so they can't limit the people that go in there. It's just like oh, wow.
But I mean, there's not I haven't been on a train since this whole thing has happened, but the trains are pretty much empty, or if it's probably like a moment where it's a rush hour, but rush hour with what's happening, it's still not a lot of people. I'm sure hopefully people are keeping their distance, because for some reason now, because the sun is out, people want to act as if we're not still in.
That is so true. Yeah. Yep.
The illusion, because I'm quite sure if it was -30, people will be in their houses.
Indoors.
Okay.
Yep.
So with that said,
I see that too in Vegas too. I see, especially around Memorial Weekend. I mean, we did have a little, we invited like 3-4 friends over, maybe a little more, hush, hush, but, it wasn't something big, but some people had masks. We all kept our social distance. But I can see, where people were, but did you see the people on the beaches, or I don't even know where they were on, like, woo, partying and everything? I'm like, oh my gosh.
I can't. I get it. We are social people, where we need that. Human beings need touch. Human beings need to socialize. Like, that's in us, so for us to be, kind of like stagnant or forced to be in our homes, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's a privilege. Like, there are people who are homeless who don't have that privilege. They don't have that luxury to go to an apartment, to a home, to a condo, to wherever it is, or there are people who live in a homeless shelter. So I keep that in mind,
True. Yeah.
So the fact that I get it, it's interesting what starts becoming important to us while we're all going through this. So
True. I
yeah,
mean, when
you
things
get
like
rest.
this, it truly makes you value how you spend your time, who you spend your time with, and what's really, really important.
Oh yes, because I'm someone who I like to enjoy spending time alone. Like I'm not an introvert, but I'm an extrovert, but at the same time, when I'm out or I'm doing social settings or I'm working, I'm around so many people that I feel like I need to kind of like just get back to myself, get all those energies, away from me and just be at one with my own thoughts. So I like that. However, it's a choice. When you don't have a choice, that becomes totally different. Like I went out to the park and it was like, wow, I'm in the park right now. This is pretty awesome. And it was, you learn to appreciate things that you didn't appreciate before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Even like the simple fact of being able to, yes, go to the park, take in that fresh breath air and appreciate nature. I've always been a nature-y kind of person, but even so much more now with just appreciating life. And I mean, there's just been so much reminders of that in my life of just how, life is just so fragile and you really don't know when your time, is, ends here on earth. But, that's why overall, you got to just do you. You got to just live in the moment. You got to chase for what you love. You just got to keep being ever so growing and developing yourself because really, I mean, life is so short. I mean, I've spent so many years of my life not doing that. Not really concentrating and knowing what I wanted in life. But I think everybody gets to that point where they really, don't know where to go. And then things happen that open your eyes to see, oh, this is what I need to do, or, this is what I'm meant to do. And so I'm thankful now that I feel like I've gone to a point in my life where I finally found, I mean, makeup I've always loved. That's always been, an obvious, but I wanted to make more of an impact. And how can I make that impact? And the stuff that I've gone through in the span of 2 years really has, changed me and woken me and made me see life a little differently. And I do want to make some sort of impact. And the things that people that have helped me, this is the biggest thing, the people that have helped me get out of my rut when I was going through it. I want to, spread that knowledge of people that can potentially help them get out of a rut or inspire them, to do something with their life or, because being unhappy, and just being stuck and not knowing how to get out of there, it's hard.
It's not a good feeling. And you end up internally beating yourself up, and you're harsh with yourself because you hold yourself at a certain standard, and when you're not meeting that expectation, you feel like you failed. And I feel like that's a truthful emotion, but at the same time it's also very destructive. And it's important to know your value, figure out your purpose, because sometimes it takes a while. It's a process, and be fearless about executing it. You're going to have days that you're not going to feel gung-ho, and that's okay. But you have to be able to dust yourself off and pick yourself up, and not beat yourself up for this long to-do list that you haven't accomplished or haven't finished. Just know that you're chipping away at it, and every person goes through a different pace. Like perhaps you needed to go through that rut so you can relate to other people. Like I believe, and I always say this, and my friends can attest to this, that everything that happens is for a reason, good and bad. There's no way that you can go through life one dimensionally. You can't appreciate the good if you don't go through the bad. And you can't value, getting out of a bad space, if you only have a happy life. I mean, that's ideal. to live in a utopian world like that, but it's not realistic, and that's not what life is about.
Nope.
And, you know, we just have to kind of like learn to navigate those bad moments and see the message as to why we went through that, and basically, you know, enjoy the good as well. Now, you cannot stay in the bad. That's all I'm saying, you know? And I feel like everyone has been there, but people don't realize it because it's not talked to enough.
No.
You know, like you don't put on a Instagram post, damn, you know, it was really hard to wake up, or, you know, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this, or, you know, damn, you know, you don't put that, you know? I mean, for me, no. I mean, because my Instagram page is more like creative and also work, you know, related, you know, space that I've created for myself. So obviously you're not going to put that, you know, but I think it's good when people are willing to talk about it.
Yep. Yeah. It's important. It's people, I think we all go through it, and people, because you don't hear it a lot, you think that then not everyone or not a lot of people, it's just you. And then you don't have a lot of resources then, or you don't have then people you feel comfortable talking about it. So you just keep it to yourself, and which is not always very healthy to do. You know, again, like you said, we need that human connection. We need that human touch. And so being able to find that person, whether it could be anybody, it could be a therapist, it could be your mom, it could be your aunt, it could be your dad, it could be your spouse, it could be your, I don't know, your dog. Well, not your dog, but
it could be so many factors. It could be a friend that gives you a book to read. It could be a podcast that you just happen to listen to. It could be a YouTuber that maybe went through the same thing, or it could be a life coach, or it could be there's just so many things. But what I'm saying is you cannot close yourself off. That's the most important thing. You can't close yourself off, because one, how are you going to experience life? You're going to have missed opportunities, and you're going to look back, you know, and be like, what was I doing? I was literally, the only thing that was wrong was that I was in a bad mental space.
Yep.
A mental space is intangible. We make it tangible physically. We help it manifest in different ways, but it's just a thought. It's just a space.
And which constantly changes, right? I feel even maybe sometimes more with women, and like we feel like we're happy one moment, and then we could be all like, we see something, and then or we're scrolling on social media, and then we compare ourselves, and now we're feeling a certain type of way. And I don't know, when I feel like you said, like we can't just rely on our emotions to drive like what to do, what we need to do, because that's just changing constantly. So the fact that we're just showing up no matter what's going on and how we feel, I think that's the journey. That's the process. That's the goal of just showing up.
And you mentioned that in a podcast, in one of your podcasts, that, you know, you cannot rely on your emotions. You cannot rely on, I'm going to wake up feeling happy. Even if you don't wake up feeling that way, you still have to show up. You still have to show up. And once you go through the motions, you're going to be so happy that you did, whatever that means. So yeah, I completely agree with you with that.
Yeah, no, truly. See, with everything, like you're just a natural motivator, and I knew that because of you, because of how your comments and your messages would come across. They were always motivating, always very supportive. I felt like I had this like sisterly you know, like love or support with you. And I would ask myself, like, what, like, why? Like, I haven't even met her, and like she's so freaking awesome. And like, for me, naturally, I felt like before, like, well, I have to like meet them, and for them for me to feel like they're trusting, or how can I really gauge a person, you know, online. This was me 5 years ago. Okay, now it's like, no, it's my view of that has totally, completely changed. And I think with a lot of people, ever since this whole thing went down, it's opened their eyes too to how they communicate with others.
No, I agree. It's I just feel like I'm me regardless, like exactly how I write, exactly how I text.
Take me
like,
as you like it. Like, this is me.
this is literally how I am. But I've also have friends that are like that to me. I have close friends that, you know, they are able to kind of like, I feel like we do that for one another. I feel like, again, as we mentioned previously, like the people that you have in your circle, it's an exchange. It's an exchange of energy, and you know, it's those people that hold you accountable, or those people that your friends or your loved ones that tell you, you know what are you talking about? You're like overthinking this, you know, like, and I feel like we've all been there. So I mean, I'm appreciative that I have friends like that, you know, and I pay it forward, but I'm not even thinking about it. That's just literally how I am, you know, and I want to have people in my circle just like that, you know. So even though this is our officially first time having a conversation, which I'm so happy about, but I feel like we're kindred spirits. When there's a connection, there's a connection. You know,
Yes.
I had a friend of mine, and ironically enough, she was born and raised in the same area that I was born and raised. We never met. We met through a mutual friend, but we never met. I remember, it's a photographer I work with, and he was like, you should meet so and so. She works in the fashion industry. She's pretty cool. And for some reason, we exchanged info and we became like online friends. And then we just started communicating throughout the year, same situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened organically. And her name is similar to mine. Her birthday's the same day as mine.
My God.
I'm not even lying. Like, and she's amazing. And it was like, excuse you, I did not believe that I had you, but didn't know that I had you in my life. So, and so we don't speak every day, but like, you know, I'm a firm believer. If you're good friends with people, you don't have to speak to them every day. It's important to keep the connection, because unfortunately, life and social media makes us gives us the illusion that we're connected, but we're not connected. So I agree. I have to be better with that. So all my friends, you know, please don't hate me.
No. She will get better after this, like we promise.
Yes. But you know, that's how connections are made, and I'm really happy for the friends I have in my circle. I really am. I'm appreciative of that, you know, because they uplift you.
Yeah.
So,
well, for anybody to be able to say that, that's goals. So, you know, I hope that, you know, anyone listening can or watching could, you know, maybe take that time to really, you know, look around and see who and, you know, you're spending your time with, and what feelings and how do you feel, like what do you want to do after when you hang out with them. You always have to, I think, do that every so often, because people kind of slid in sometimes, and you're like, "Oh, how'd you get in here?" You always got to be careful. And
I feel that sometimes people are going through different journeys, and sometimes it's not. You might not be at that person's journey. It doesn't mean that they're any less of a friend or any less. You know, the thing is, I can't walk their journey for them, and they can't walk mine. You know, and you also have to keep that in perspective. You know, some people are ahead, some people are in the same frequency that I'm in, and some people are not. That doesn't make it any less of a value. You just acknowledge it and kind of just release it, you know, to the universe, and eventually things will, you know, map out that you're on the same page and on the same frequency, you know.
I can't wait to hear this podcast back and take notes. Yeah, no, that's so true. And oh my gosh, yes, like just to remember that, like anybody that you're around, you know, like whether it's not your time yet, maybe to be there, you know, but you just do your thing, be on your road, they'll be on theirs, and if when it's time and things align, then you might come across. Or, you know, what you said too also reminded me that some people in your life are in your life for a time period, and maybe they're not going to be there forever, though. They serve for that period of season, and they supplied you with supposed to supply, but it doesn't mean that, you know, you're better, they're better, because maybe now you want to go this way and they're not where you are. That reminded me what you talked about too. It's just remembering that, you know, that you're not a bad person, or they're not, just because you guys are not that close of friends, or, you know, as you once were. So also easy to take away that. So, oh my gosh, we have almost an hour of
oh my God.
of conversation, and this is insane. And I feel like we've only been talking for
me too. I feel like honestly we've been talking like for 15, 20 minutes, and we haven't even touched on a whole bunch of other stuff.
No, I literally did not look all these notes. I still have like, oh, you can't even see it, but yeah, no, we did get to cover you know, the most of the stuff that I wanted to cover. But one last thing, because as far as with your quickly on your profession, if anyone is listening that maybe, you know, may want to work with you, how do they do that? Like, and who would be the kind of people that would be contacting you, or would they contact you, or are you, just a little more information on that.
Well, I mean, mostly the work I get is either on through myself, or colleagues of mine sometimes can do certain jobs and they'll forward them to me, or photographers that I worked with that are talking to like certain companies or accounts, you know, or my agency. My agency is called that I'm with. It's called Department 5 Artists. I'm gonna link the handle on my IG page, and then there's also my portfolio website, which is TanyaAviles.com.
Look at that!
Oh my God!
Perfect timing.
I just geeked out right now.
Yeah, for those listening, I put a little banner that has her website on there. So yeah, TanyaAviles.com.
Yes. And then my IG and my personal IG, which is Style Vamp. So that's how, and I always post my work or different creative things that I'm seeing or take pictures of and whatnot. So that's like my creative outlet that I have right now. And hopefully eventually my other creative outlet will be a podcast.
Ooh, yes, please guys, spam her, or, you know, encourage her to do it. I know you would be so awesome at it. Tanya, I can't thank you enough for the time you invested. I know you're 3 hours difference than me, and so I appreciate you as a whole, your soul, just you as a person, the energy and everything that you give out as a person, and all the tips and advice and that you gave today. I can't wait to listen back. I'm not kidding. You know, all the amazing things you said. This was awesome. This was long overdue, and I'm just so glad that this podcast made it happen.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. I'm so happy that I got to finally meet and speak with you. I mean, honestly, I feel like we were only talking for like 15 to 20 minutes, and I'm kind of sad that like now it's coming to an end, but I'm happy this finally happened.
We'll do this again.
Yes. And thank you for welcoming me to your podcast and to your platform. And I really appreciate this. And thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.